board certified pediatrician and a board certified lactation consultant. And I am the founder and owner of RVA Baby, which is a premier concierge newborn care service. I provide complete holistic newborn care at home for moms in the first 2 to 3 months after they deliver their babies.
Alrighty, so what is the thing now? Shout out to our guy, Dr. Joe over at Dandelion. What is this thing with concierge healthcare? Please explain.
Well, what it does is it takes that third party out of medicine. Right now, there's a third party insurance companies,
Yes.
third party payers, and they have a lot of control over what we do and how we do it. And it also drives up costs. And so because medicine is a volume-based business with third party payers, you have to see a certain amount of people to keep the lights on, because that's with the way the system is set up, is fee for service. You don't get to spend a lot of time with your doctor. And that's the biggest disconnect folks are having with medicine. They don't feel like they have a relationship with their doctor. They can't reach out to their doctor when they want them. And concierge medicine or direct primary care is a game changer, because there is no third party in our relationship. I do what's best for you. I don't have to nickel and dime you for time. I don't have to have 3,000 patients on my panel. The cost is very affordable.
Yes, I've learned that.
So it's a monthly fee. And I have two arms to my business. I have a direct primary care like Dr. Joe, but I also have the in-home concierge service, which is like a retainer model. So you can retain me for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months for care at home for your baby.
One of the things that we see is that model is so different. People, I know when you tell people what you do, they're like, okay, you're a doctor, you're a pediatrician. But then you take that next step, the people get the glazed look like.
They do. And when
we don't understand it. It's so different.
Exactly. When I first started here in town, even pediatricians were like, what are you doing? And it's such a niche practice that it was kind of throwing folks off, but you get at it, you keep at it, you build a reputation, and now people don't give me that sideways look.
Because they get it.
Because they get it. And house calls are coming back. So folks are like, why don't we practice medicine like this anymore? Why can't I have a direct relationship with my provider without having an intermediary? And that's the big difference between direct primary care and the traditional model.
On the microphone, we got Dr. West here with us. So doctors went to medical school to practice medicine. That's what we hear. But now the business side of it, okay, doctor, here you go. The business side of it is, I think, so I go to me and my wife, we go to the VA. And you see those doctors there. Those doctors are right alongside the nurses, the technicians. They put in their 40 or whatever, and they go home and a check shows up.
Yes.
They don't have to deal with all of the other stuff that comes with the business side of a medical practice, the business side of a legal practice, all those things. What does that do for you? I know, so when we went to Dr. Joe, he said that we were going to be in there, the initial visit was going to be an hour. And you're like, okay. But then you're sitting there answering questions for an hour.
Yes.
It's like, man, an hour's a long time. You know how many doctors we've seen? We might have waited for an hour.
But
and then got our
5 minutes.
Exactly. You got our 5 minutes in. But it really is that way. Talk about the business side of the medical practice, which concierge medicine, I guess, frees you guys up to spend time with the patients.
That is the challenge for me, because when I started medical school, I started it with a purpose to become a pediatrician, because I had bad experiences as a mom, a young Black mom with a baby who was sick. So my goal was always to be able to provide care and connect with people. And you don't talk about business in medical school. You don't talk about billing. You don't know how the system works. You don't even know that big business is running medicine.
Well, where do you get that information from?
Most people still don't know that information. And so when you go out into the real world to start practicing, and you see that volume rules today, and you have to see 40 kids a day or 35 kids a day, that's when you start looking at, oh my gosh, I have to bill a certain way. I have to do my own coding. I have to do X, Y, and Z. And so now you have a lot of physician burnout. Even in situations where at the VA, I used to work at Fort Belvoir, I worked at Fort Bragg, I worked at Fort Lee as a pediatrician, and those environments still cause a lot of burnout, because even though you're interacting with folks and at the end of the day, you go home and you collect a check, there are a lot of hurdles that you have to jump.
They're on skates.
They're on skates. You're jumping
You better,
hoops
yes,
all
you are.
day. And I call them fiery hoops. And not only are you rushing to see patients, but there are things that you have to do at your desk. There are boxes you have to check in order to get that paycheck.
So what you're looking at is, so that diminishes all the things that you went to school for, all the patient care things that you love. All of a
Exactly.
sudden now we got the business side of it,
And it's hitting you upside the head because you're not really benefiting from
the business
the
side of it.
business side. And so for me, ethically, I feel like capitalism and medicine should not be
They
intertwined.
need to go together.
Not, you know, there should be no corporate medicine, because then you start talking about, you know, the margin instead of taking care of people. We're talking about shareholders instead of taking care of people. And so the hard part for me with my practice is keeping my prices low so that a wide range of people can afford me. So I have business owners, I have wealthy families, I have middle-class families, I have some Medicaid families. So making sure those prices are reasonable and giving everybody the same treatment. The challenge is that I don't make a six-figure salary anymore, but that's okay because my husband does.
Exactly.
And I have the opportunity to do that. But that's not true for every pediatrician out there
So how long has your practice been open?
since December 2016.
Okay. But you know, you had something, you know, you hang the shingle out, you got all the expectations like all businesses.
Mhm.
When did you know, okay, I might be able to make a go of this?
You know, there's no one big moment where the lights is flipped on and I'm like, I got it. There's some back and forth. There's like,
I got
really?
this.
I got this. And then it was like,
Oh.
I quit myself today. Like, why am I not making any money? And then it's like, you know, because it's like feast or famine when you're
Yes.
self-employed. So that's a challenge. But I think in the last 6 months, I feel like, okay, now I have something that is scalable, and scalable in the sense that I can franchise it and move it into other markets.